Motion carried. I'll tell you what, there was so many on there, I lost track of the numbers, to be honest with you.
Hi, Dick. Hold on.
Okay, moving on to discussion. First one on discussion. Mike Donlin, do you have anything on discussion?
I don't think so.
Okay. How about Clark Goodchild?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, how about Kenny Nelson?
I'll pass, thank you.
How about Rex Knapp?
Nothing today, Dick?
Okay. And how about Steve Wick?
I'll pass today also.
Boy, that didn't take long. He must be organized. Okay, moving on, we'll bring up our good city administrator here. I'm sure he has a few things to talk about. Jason?
Yes, sir. This is Jason. Okay. A plan for reopening. I'll just update you all on where we are at this point. Right now, current restrictions go to May 15th. Our anticipated opening here of City Hall back to the public access is we're shooting for May 18th. Now that doesn't happen without some some precautions put in place. So I'd anticipate those can be accomplished by the 18th, if not sooner. If they get put in place, we may consider opening before the 18th. So far, although it may have, it's caused some inconvenience, it has worked. As far as we've been able to still serve the public, function as normal as we can. But that's our plan so far. So the next question will be is, that may allow us, depending on what happens on the 15th or prior, the days leading up to the 15th, and see what restrictions are relaxed, just kind of see what happens then. That may affect our next council meeting also, which is on the 19th. So we'll inform you as we go forward with that.
You would not do anything outside the governor's recommendations?
I don't believe so. We haven't so far, Steve. So I don't see that changing.
Good.
I'm going to I'll comment because I received an email from the Arts Council, so I'll just let the whole council know kind of what's been going on at the Arts Center. As far as work goes. If you remember at budget time, they submitted a list of things that they were hoping to accomplish there, mainly through donations and mainly on their own. So just a little update on that. Lower level doorway is done. Main floor wood floors are refinished. Walls are getting, should be painted by now. Lighting upgrades will be done within the week, and then new window shades installed by mid-May. So they're working hard on that building with little commitment by us. So that's good. So they're taking pride in that building and want it to look the best it can. So kudos to them. I think it was mentioned earlier in comments, being updated on projects. I'm sure you see Knife River trucks driving in certain areas of town. So they're in town to do quite a bit of asphalt work on certain streets. And I've heard those streets advertised on Clem, so hopefully the word is getting out there. Right now, what they're doing is they're milling where they need to mill, and then once that's done, then they will schedule the asphalt to come in to fix those streets. Airport riprap was just completed yesterday. That was working on the river bank on the west side of what is now our new extension out there. So that was completed yesterday. Work will continue on Business 75. They're up to Dairy Queen and moving south. So as they get time, they'll work on that. The building.
I had a question about the Business 75 thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
Someone had, this is Mike Donald. Someone asked me if the work being done on Business 75 was a new initiative or some warranty work from a previous contract, and I just didn't know the answer. Can you shed some light for me?
It's not the first time that question's been asked, Mike.
Can you hear Jason all right, Mike?
I hear it just fine, yes.
Okay, all right.
It's true, that was a big question when we first started noticing the breaking up. It seemed to be a pretty consistent, it seemed to be in a pretty consistent place throughout, or in location throughout that entire project. So during, once we started taking out, I think one of the first locations was right in front of Bob's Drive-In. The engineer on the project, which was Schlofeld Engineering, as well as the State of Iowa Pavers Association, they were called upon, so they came up and looked at it. They've kind of been a big proponent of the whole PCC overlay happening in the state. So they've been involved in the designing of those projects. So they came up and kind of, I'll say, did their investigation of it. You know, there was, and they found there were inconsistencies, but it wasn't to a point where it was really any fault of the contractor as far as trying to enforce them to redo it. So that's how it was left. It wasn't, there wasn't one particular thing that they found that caused it to do what it did. It's unfortunate. I mean, we've had good luck with PCC overlays in the past. It's unfortunate that this had to happen on probably the busiest one of all of the streets that we've done it on. So I don't know if that particularly answered your question or the question you were asked, Mike, but we did look into it. It was looked into whether or not we could go back on Steve Harris and kind of force some repairs that way. But
Having lived out there and gone through all this for years, I think my observation is a little bit different than maybe what the experts say, but I think this is the first time we've done the overlay with an existing curb. It seems to do better when we do a street, take the curb out completely and do it all in one. That's my observation from it. New curbs were put in 2 years before. And when you look at a highway such as that has been built asphalted and changed and things have been done to it. And you got new cement here, and you got an old busted up foundation of concrete over there. I think you're asking for problems. So I hope when we continue on Central Avenue, the plans are to put the curb in as they do the road surface.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, that is one difference with the Business 75 project from past overlay projects we've done with concrete is all the other ones we've completely removed the curb, and built a new curb. If you notice what's cracking on Business 75 is to the side of the curbs. You know, because once you get around the curve, there no longer is a curb on the railroad side, and there doesn't appear to be any cracking on that side. All the cracking appears to be where the overlay was placed against an existing curb. So,
okay. Mike, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but at least they dug into it.
Yes, thank you, and if I have more questions, I'll just follow up with Jason.
Okay, real good. Jason, you got anything?
Another project going on is the moving of the accessory building out at the police department. Last word is that building should get moved next week, is the plan. Once that's moved, that will open it up to begin the work on that berm that's going to get placed around the west end of that property. Next is our pond. If you remember, we did a rehabilitation of the pond last fall. As of last week, that was completed. The pond has been restocked by the DNR. What I still need to check on, though, I remember when we restocked, especially the pond back behind Walmart, for a while we had signs up that restricted people from, it was a catch and release, in order to get those fish, that habitat established. I don't believe we have any of those signs out at Municipal Park currently. I think it's probably a good idea that we put them up, at least until we know that the fish are multiplying. I mean, the good fish are multiplying. So I'm pretty sure we still have those in stock, those signs, so they may get placed out there, at least for a couple of years. There's a couple, because of what we're going through and places being closed and restrictions being placed on, two of the big areas that I guess that we get the questions on the most, or people have concerns with, because we receive calls, is one, the municipal pond out there, and the reports of, there was a bunch of people out there and they were swimming and they weren't social distancing, and that's not right. Restrictions that are in place right now, yes, social distancing is in place. That pond out there is not closed. Swimming pools are closed, those types of things. Ponds are not closed. So they can still be used. It's just that we still want everybody, until the restrictions are lifted, everybody has to practice the social distancing thing. So, reports come in that there's too many people out there. Well, I mean, we don't have somebody stationed out there every minute of the day to make sure that everybody's following the rules. Now, if things get noticed, we'll deal with them. But just so everybody knows that pond is not under any restriction right now. And the next thing is because they're showing up, the campground. There are campers out there, okay? Restrictions on campgrounds are that they are closed, except to permanent or long-term campers, okay? So the people who just come on the weekends, that's who it's closed to. So long-term, because that's going to be the next question, what do you consider long-term? Long-term is in discussion with our individual that we have in charge of that campground, is it's open. It's open to discussion. That's why I had to have the discussion with him, was 2 weeks is going to be the minimum. We would prefer a month. Okay, so if you're going to stay there for 2 weeks, fine. That doesn't mean you pull your camper out there and leave it there for 2 weeks, but only spend 4 nights there. You pull your camper up there and you're spending you live there. Okay, that is your residence for the time that camper is there. So every year we've had those type of campers, especially those that spend the winter down south, and they've come back up here and then they spend the whole summer. Those are long-term people. Okay? Construction workers, I believe we have 2 of them out there right now. They're here for the whole summer because of project. So they spend every night in that camper, so that is their residence. So you'll see campers out there. So we've received calls, or why are campers out there? Aren't campgrounds closed? Well, yes, they are closed, except, that's why I've always encouraged people to read the actual proclamation, because it gives better explanations in those proclamations of what you're supposed to do. So campgrounds are closed except for permanent or long-term campers. So, and our manager is making sure that we go by those rules. So that is it. And the other thing I'll just comment, I wasn't going to comment, is the same thing as I constantly hear, well, I thought parks are closed. Parks aren't closed. Playground equipment is. You can still visit a park. You can still walk around a park. You just can't play on the equipment. So, questions? That's all I have.
You done?
Finally. This is Jason, by the way. I don't know.
But I do appreciate Justin filling the people in as far as commitments again, and letting them know where they're at, because this has been a terrible thing, to be very honest with you, as everybody knows. And we're just we're trying to do the right thing, and I know my phone rings, I know Jason's ringing. Yeah.
Hey, this is Clark.
Yeah, Clark.
You broke up a little bit there. I didn't know if you were asking Jacob something.
No, not yet. I'm getting ready to, though. I'm going to put him on.
Okay, but can I comment to Jason a minute?
Sure, go ahead. You bet. That's what this phone call's about.
Jason, this is just my thoughts. I don't know what the other 4 feel, or quite frankly, Dick, and I think it needs to be, kind of a group opinion or something, but I would strongly encourage city facilities, including the library and city hall, to remain closed until June 1st, regardless of the governor's proclamation of an earlier date. I would like us to err on the side of caution, and I think we did that, and the library is a good example. We closed before we were told to close. We still offered the service, but we took extra. I think, Lamar, I really think we're doing a great job and this sucks, I hate it. I hate these phone conversations, I struggle with them, and that means the council meeting would go one more time. But my personal opinion is we kick this down the road until June 1st, which is a Monday, I believe. No matter what the rest, and we just err on the side of caution. That's my opinion. Now, I don't necessarily feel that way on outdoor facilities. You brought up campgrounds and things like that. If it's outdoor facilities, I'm not quite as hardcore, but on indoor facilities, I would like us to take a good look at doing that. And then I'll just, one last question, this one kind of goes to Jacob, and you don't even need to answer it today, but I'd kind of like to know, because of this, what kind of revenue losses in city facilities are we going to see that we're going to need to deal with? Are there any projections, for instance, swimming pool, why, whatever else? Probably golf course decline a bit, different things like that, camping fees. How much of a decline in revenues are we looking at? I'm done.
Okay, Jacob, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in on that then. As far as revenues goes, that was something I was going to discuss a little bit, because obviously there is going to be some impact to revenues with everything that's going on. I don't have any hard, fast projections yet on like the convention center and some of those. I can come up with those before next meeting if you'd like. But
Yeah, that's fine. Like I say, I didn't necessarily mean to put you on the spot, and I kind of figured I would. But I think in the next couple meetings or whatever, I kind of like to have an idea of what we're looking at on those.
Yep, I can definitely come up with those. So I think going into this, the city was in a very good financial position, and so that places us in a good place going forward. I think just going forward, we'll just have to watch our expenses, and I will come up with some projections on those revenues. I know we've heard some on obviously the local option, that's going to go down some. Road use is going to go down some. But depending on who you talk to or what you listen to, I mean, it's kind of